Mahogany Bronze Hour, and I'm your host, Mahogany Bronze. Listen, today on the broadcast, we're going to talk about something informative. I'm going to give you some information about something you may or may not know about. Now, 4th of July. Did you know that there's another celebration that we actually celebrate in this country besides the 4th of July? There's two independence celebrations. Now, a lot of people may not know about this, but in the 1800s, African-American slaves didn't quite feel like that holiday was for them, because at the time the Declaration of Independence was signed in July 1776, it was for the people who were free. It was for the people that were good, and African-American slaves were not good. They weren't even considered human people. They were considered property. So for them, they were reluctant to celebrate that holiday. They knew that it wasn't their time. Well, January 1st, 1863, President Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation, freeing the slaves. Now they're happy. They have something to be excited about it. But here's the problem. They didn't hear about it for 2.5 years. Now imagine how you would feel knowing that you were free as a slave and you didn't know about it for 2.5 years. So what happened is the slaves got the benefit of that, because what happens is for those 2 years, they were still getting the use out of these slaves, and the slaves didn't even realize they were free. They were still getting use out of them. They were still, gaining all the benefits that they were getting before. But June 19th, 1865, Major Granger was sent to Galveston, Texas, to read the order from the Emancipation Proclamation saying, you guys are free. Now, imagine how excited they were to know that. And from what I read, that a lot of the slaves, as he was speaking, they were packing up leaving before he even finished his announcement. All they needed to hear was that you're free to go. So they were getting up, getting out of town, and a lot of them were going to neighboring states where it was a lot more welcoming. They were going to the northern states. They were looking for some of their family to try to bring them together. But here's what's surprising. All these years of being bound and having to wait on the slave owners and being mistreated, a lot of them, when they had the opportunity to be free, some of them stayed. They didn't want to leave. This is all they knew. This is all they had been accustomed to. They didn't know how they would survive on their own because they were so used to being taken care of by the slave owners. Some of them decided, you know what, we'll stay, get our wages. Now, that's how a lot of them responded. But the slave owners, how they responded to this news, a lot of them weren't too happy. And imagine, they had relied on these slaves all this time to mine the fields, to take care of the house, to take care of their kids, to feed their kids, to bathe their kids, to do everything that they needed. They depended on the slaves. And now all of a sudden, President Lincoln signs an Emancipation Proclamation taking all of that away. They weren't too happy about it. So that's why we believe that the slaves didn't find out. There's 3 reasons, actually. They said that one is because the slaves wanted to hold on to them a little longer. Number 2, they sent a messenger, okay, but somehow he got murdered on the way. And then another reason was because there was a cotton fest coming up. And so they wanted to give the slave owners just one more of those so they can make money, so they used the slaves. But when they found out, the slaves were out of there. Now, what I have learned too is that some of these slave owners, when the slaves would leave, they would follow them and kill them. They would shoot them. They would actually shoot them because they didn't want to let them go. So I guess they figured, well, we're not going to let you go. You're not going to work for me. You're not going to work for anybody. That was just pure hatred. But that is exactly what happened. They would follow them and shoot and kill, lynch some of them, murder them, to keep them from leaving. But some of them were allowed to leave. Now let's talk about this Juneteenth. It's a celebration that's held on June 19th every year. And where we get the name Juneteenth is June 19th. We put it together and we get Juneteenth. It's celebrated. People come from all around. As a matter of fact, if you look on social media, you can see where people are actually posting about Juneteenth. It's coming out more. People are talking about it a lot more because a lot of African Americans don't know about this holiday as well. That's what's so amazing and why I wanted to do this speech today, because there are a lot of people that are listening to this broadcast that don't know about Juneteenth. And I think it's good to know your history and know why we celebrate things and what the history brings you to for that. But yeah, they celebrate with rodeos. They get together with barbecues. They do a lot of different things that they bring together. Family comes around. They use prayer time. These events are very positive too. And they actually empower the people. They do self-improvement. They bring a guest speaker in. It's like a really big deal. But at the end of the day, it's a very positive event. And people leave knowing a little bit more about their history and why we celebrate Juneteenth. Now, at the end of the day, African Americans still feel like we don't have the racial equality that we should. And they use it to symbolize the lag time from January 1st, 1863, when the proclamation was signed, to June 19th, 1865, when they found out. They look at that, and that's a symbol to them to say, you see all that lag time that it took for us to be free? They feel like they're still experiencing that today. You know, still feel like they're experiencing that today. But at the end of the day, God loves us all. Mm-hmm. God loves us all equally. No person is superior to the other person. And I am just so excited that I was able to share with you and all of our viewers today about Juneteenth so that we can know our history, know where we come from, and know where we're headed. We'll see you next time, right here on the Mahogany Bronze Hour.